Jessica Hardley's life had once resembled a perfect dream. As the owner of a successful marketing agency, she enjoyed the admiration of friends and colleagues, while her husband, Thomas, a charismatic entrepreneur, seemed to complete the picture of a power couple. Their modern, architecturally stunning home in an upscale suburb was filled with memories of travel and achievement, and their relationship appeared to be built on trust, respect, and unconditional love. However, beneath the glittering surface of their seemingly flawless marriage, subtle cracks began to form. One quiet Sunday morning, while Jessica was preparing breakfast, she savored the tender kiss on her cheek from Thomas as he descended the stairs, a small gesture that once felt like a promise of their shared future. Yet, as she drove to work that day, an inexplicable unease crept into her thoughts. Thomas's increasing absence, his frequent claims of long work hours, and the gradual disappearance of their nightly rituals started to cast a shadow over her once secure world. Jessica, who had always prided herself on her intuition, began to notice small signs of disconnection. His phone was rarely put aside, and his excuses grew more frequent. One evening, when she caught him furtively scrolling through his phone, his dismissive reply that it was just work emails only deepened her discomfort. Despite her inner warnings, she chose to attribute these changes to the pressures of his job, convincing herself that it was all temporary. The turning point came on a rainy afternoon. As Jessica sorted through Thomas's unopened mail in his study, her fingers brushed against a confidential folder. With trepidation, she opened it to reveal legal documents, deeds transferring ownership of properties to Thomas's name. The forged signatures, accompanied by receipts for expensive gifts and hotel bookings under his name, left her breathless. The evidence wasn't just about money. It confirmed a betrayal too deep to ignore. Even more damning was a list that included another woman's name, solidifying Thomas's infidelity. When confronted, Thomas's previously charming demeanor crumbled. With a hollow, cruel laugh, he dismissed her discovery, explaining away the evidence with arrogance. "You weren't supposed to find out like this," he sneered, and shock turned into a painful realization for Jessica. Her trust had been exploited. In that moment, the life she had painstakingly built was threatened by deceit. In the midst of heartbreak, Jessica found solace in the unwavering support of her closest friend, Rachel. Over steaming mugs of coffee, Rachel's fierce honesty and vivid recounting of similar betrayals, stories like that of her cousin Sarah, ignited a spark of determination in Jessica. "You need to act fast," Rachel insisted, warning that men like Thomas often play a long game of manipulation. Inspired by her friend's strength, Jessica reached out to her mother, Eleanor, whose calm, steady voice on the phone reassured her. Eleanor reminded Jessica of a critical decision made long ago. The family had kept the property deeds under her name to shield Jessica from potential financial ruin. This foresight meant that Jessica was not entirely defenseless. Armed with this protection, Jessica met with her long-trusted lawyer, Alan Grant, who carefully analyzed the mounting evidence. With meticulous planning, he outlined a legal strategy to expose Thomas's fraud and infidelity. "This is going to be messy," he warned, but he was optimistic that with solid proof, including forged documents and digital trails, Jessica would prevail in court. As Thomas continued to cloak his misdeeds in charm, the real battle was unfolding in legal documents and courtrooms. Before the trial, Thomas attempted to manipulate public opinion. A viral social media post, fabricated to paint Jessica as an unfaithful, greedy wife, spread rapidly, complete with doctored photos and sensational headlines. The media initially sided with Thomas, casting Jessica as the villain of the story. Hurtful comments and public judgment flooded her social feeds, and even friends began to question her integrity. Despite the sting of public betrayal, a resilient determination began to take root in Jessica. With her legal team and Rachel by her side, she resolved not to defend herself with words alone, but to let the evidence speak for itself. The courtroom drama unfolded with palpable tension. Thomas's legal team, led by the ambitious Victor Kane, attempted to portray him as a victim wronged by Jessica's supposed greed and manipulation. However, Alan's steady presentation of incontrovertible evidence began to unravel Thomas's narrative. Forensic handwriting experts testified that the signatures on the property documents were forged, and a recording of Thomas boasting about his scheme further undermined his credibility. The judge, Monroe, listened intently, and when she delivered her verdict, the courtroom shifted dramatically. With overwhelming evidence of fraud, she invalidated Thomas's claims and awarded Jessica 50% of his remaining assets. Public opinion turned swiftly in Jessica's favor. Headlines shifted from scandalizing her to celebrating her triumph over deceit. Thomas, once the epitome of success, was exposed as a manipulative liar. As his assets were seized and his reputation crumbled, he was forced to leave behind the lavish home he once flaunted. Meanwhile, Jessica found not only legal vindication but a renewed sense of self-worth. The courtroom victory was bittersweet, a necessary step in reclaiming her life and dignity. In the aftermath of the trial, overwhelmed by the relentless media scrutiny, Jessica chose to retreat from the chaos. Recognizing that true healing required time and space, she moved to a modest countryside home nestled among rolling hills and tranquil meadows. The simplicity of her new surroundings was a stark contrast to the opulence she had once known, yet it brought an unexpected warmth and peace. Every morning, the chorus of birdsong and the gentle sunlight filtering through the trees became a daily reminder that life could be rebuilt, piece by piece. In the quiet solitude of her retreat, Jessica embarked on a journey of self-discovery. She spent her days reading neglected books, taking long walks in the fields, and reflecting on the past. The painful memories of her marriage gradually transformed into lessons learned. In therapy, with the compassionate guidance of Dr. Alana Pierce, she confronted years of emotional abuse and self-doubt. Jessica began practicing self-care, learning to set boundaries, and celebrating small victories. She even rediscovered an old passion for painting, a hobby long buried under the demands of her previous life. Tentatively, she set up an easel by the window, and as her brush strokes grew more confident, so did her sense of identity. During this period of renewal, a new friendship began to blossom. Daniel, her kind and steady neighbor, appeared one day while she struggled with a broken latch on her garden gate. Offering his help with genuine warmth, Daniel's presence soon became a comforting constant. Though Jessica initially wrestled with trust, haunted by memories of Thomas's betrayal, Daniel's patience and respectful kindness slowly chipped away at her defenses. Their bond deepened over shared walks, casual conversations at the local market, and moments of laughter that lightened the weight of her past. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Jessica and Daniel strolled through a sun-dappled clearing in the woods, their connection took on a transformative quality. In that serene moment, with the golden light casting gentle shadows, Daniel reached for her hand and confessed his deep care for her. His words were heartfelt and sincere, not delivered with dramatic flair, but with the simple honesty that Jessica craved. She recognized, in that moment, that she was beginning to fall for him, not in spite of her scars, but because they had taught her the value of genuine love and resilience. As their relationship grew, Jessica's transformation became evident to all who knew her. She planned a wedding that was intimate and authentic, a far cry from the ostentatious celebrations of her past. Every detail, from the wildflowers adorning the venue to the handwritten invitations, symbolized a fresh start rooted in love, simplicity, and mutual respect. Her wedding day was a celebration not only of her union with Daniel, but also of the journey that had brought her from the depths of betrayal to a life defined by empowerment. Even as Thomas attempted to reach out in a final, desperate plea for forgiveness, Jessica stood firm. Their brief encounter in a public cafe revealed a man reduced to the ruins of his former self, a broken, remorseful figure who could never reclaim what he had lost. With a calm resolve, Jessica wished him strength in rebuilding his life and walked away, knowing that her healing was not contingent on his redemption. The wedding, held under a clear sky in the countryside, was a poignant culmination of Jessica's evolution. Dressed simply yet elegantly, with a crown of wildflowers in her hair and surrounded by the warmth of family and true friends, she exchanged vows with Daniel. In that moment, every word, every promise was a declaration of her newfound self-worth. As Daniel slipped a simple, elegant ring onto her finger, It felt as if the final piece of her long, painful puzzle had fallen into place. The quiet applause of loved ones faded into the background as Jessica embraced the joy and hope that now defined her life. In the months and years that followed, Jessica and Daniel built a life together in their cozy countryside cottage, a sanctuary filled with shared routines and gentle moments of happiness. They spent evenings cooking together, planting flowers in the garden, and taking long walks at sunset. Their connection, forged through honesty and understanding, provided both a refuge and a source of strength. Jessica often reflected on how far she had come, from the agony of betrayal and the turmoil of a public trial to the quiet, steadfast happiness of a life rebuilt on her own terms. Looking back on her journey, Jessica understood that the true victory was not found in legal settlements or media accolades, but in the rediscovery of her own worth. Supported by her mother, loyal friend Rachel, and the unwavering guidance of her lawyer Alan, she had learned that resilience is born from confronting one's pain and choosing to grow beyond it. Her story, once defined by loss and deceit, had evolved into a powerful testament to the strength of the human spirit. Meanwhile, Thomas's life served as a cautionary tale. Reduced to working humble, labor-intensive jobs and struggling with the consequences of his own actions, he gradually learned, too late, the true cost of deceit. His public fall from grace was a stark reminder that the pursuit of power through manipulation ultimately leads only to regret and isolation. In the end, Jessica's journey was not just about reclaiming what had been stolen from her. It was about rediscovering herself, embracing her imperfections, and opening her heart to new beginnings. As she stood on the porch one quiet evening, watching the first stars appear in the sky, Jessica felt a deep sense of peace. The pain of the past had given way to a future filled with hope, purpose, and authentic love. And with Daniel by her side, she looked forward to every new day, confident that she had finally found the strength to live on her own terms.